What's going on, everyone? We got a fun one today. We are diving into some Piett Red, which, by the way, just real quick, big shout out to Thork out there. You guys might have seen his content. I'm not sure if he's the originator of this deck, but as far as I know, he's the one that I've seen popularize it and I think create it, or at least create the style of this droid-based, taking advantage of Invisible Hand Piett Red. I made a couple modifications, but for the most part, it should be pretty similar. Regardless, we're going to be diving into the droid-based synergy space capital ship Piett deck here, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And this deck has been popping up quite a bit in the recent tournaments, whether it's just because it's a popularized deck or if it's truly good. Well, that's what we're here today to find more about. A big thank you to my patrons over on Patreon, guys. I can't wait to meet you all in person in just a couple of days. Let's talk about this deck, though. What do we have going on? The number one thing is Piett, right? So we got to run capital ships. We have to run capital ships, guys. We have to. That's what Piett does. So we've got Devastator, Big Devastator, and Small Devastator in the deck. We've got Ruthless Raider, MC-30 Assault Frigate, all of which are just good plays because they're cheaper with Piett. I also added Resupply Carrier. Nice to be able to go Resupply Carrier into potentially Devastator on the next turn. That could be really good as just setting up a curve. And even so, the late Devastator as well. The big portion of this deck, though, that makes it really intriguing to me is Invisible Hand. Now, I've played a lot of Piett decks with Invisible Hand trying to use the Swarming Vulture droids. The problem is that you play a bunch of Swarming Vulture droids and they're not actually that fantastic. However, now we actually have a lot of different droids that we can take advantage of because of the two new ones in HK-47 and DRK-1 Probe Droid. So we've had the Vanguard Droid Bomber, the Series Officer, and the Viper Probe Droid before, and both the Vanguard Droid Bomber and the Series Officer are going to deal 2 straight to your opponent's base, which is a lot of damage, and they stack up quite nicely when Invisible Hand comes into play. Now remember, Invisible Hand needs to have a 2-cost droid unit to play it for free, which is the real value. Viper Probe Droid can be really nice just to peek at people's hands, especially with a bunch of cards in their hand now, can help us set up future plays. And then the HK-47 is just good as a solid play. If we knock out units, we're going to deal some damage, but also a 2/4 is kind of obnoxious to deal with. And then DRK actually defeats non-unique upgrades, which is pretty applicable in this format. So I really do like these 2 new droid additions, which is what makes this deck a little bit more interesting to me. Those are the main additions from set 5. Outside of that, we got Ramp, Super Laser Technician, Resupply, a little bit of removal and Open Fire, Overwhelming Barrage, Turbo Laser Salvo as late game kind of wipe the board effects, and then of course Planetary Bombardment with the Devastator is just 12 as you wish it, which is one of the most powerful things you can do with Piett in general. So I'm excited to play this deck. You all know how much I love Invisible Hand. So once again, big shout out to Thork out there. I'll try to leave a link to his channel down below. You guys can check it out. But really, really cool stuff. If someone else created the deck, I apologize. That's just who I've seen so far as the creditor to this deck. So there you are. Let's get into some games right now. Off to a strong start. We got Han Blue over here on the opposing side of the battlefield. Definitely one that you're going to want to work, or rather stay on the alert for with the new Galactic Championship coming up. This is a pretty bad hand, very expensive, no ramp, no early plays. We're going to mulligan this one. Lots of resupply carriers. definitely something that I don't really want. This one is a little bit better. I'm going to keep it because I don't have any other choice. But we're going to go with HK-47 here. And then hopefully we pick up some ramp on the next turn. If not, this hand's pretty weak. This is one of the weaknesses of Piett Red as far as I found. You do have a good amount of 3-drops though in the deck. You do have obviously the 2-drops that you can play, but you have Super Laser Technician. You've got the Resupply and Open Fire. I really do like the Open Fire in this list, as I have in most Piett's lists, just because of how important it is to maintain your ability to make a bunch of plays on the second turn. I'm going to resource this Planetary Bombardment because I have the Turbo Laser Salvo and the Overwhelming Barrage. I don't think I'm going to need this as much, but we will see what we're going to do here. I might just drop in the Viper Probe Droid and then attack the Yaddle with my HK-47, but we will see. We will definitely see here. Resource here. I'm waiting for my opponent to resource whatever they've got. We'll see. We will see. Do they attack immediately? If they do, I'm going to immediately play the Probe Droid. Entrenched, huh? Okay. I'm okay with that. If we're going to play this like long game of just putting units out, I'm totally okay with that. They got Fel the Dragon, Chirrut, and Anakin. Yep, I am okay with them just sitting on units and then just attacking our units. I don't care about any of these units. I just want to get big space units, right? MC-30 assault frigate. I actually don't even care about this super laser technician anymore. I am going to do I want to play the MC-30 assault frigate? Yeah, I'm just gonna play it. They can fellow dragon all they want. I don't even care. They fellow dragon. I'm just gonna play resupply carrier next turn. Yep. And then we can claim initiative. They can take their whatever play. Fellow dragon, totally fine. We're gonna go resupply carrier, and then again, entrench doesn't do anything. I don't really care about them blocking the ground arena because all of our effectiveness is going to be in the space arena. So yeah, doesn't really do anything. Chirrut doesn't do anything. Anakin's pretty good, but yeah, don't care all that much. We're just going to go ahead and deploy out the resupply carrier, and then we're going to Ruthless Raider. It's going to knock out the Yaddle. Again, I don't care. Do not care at all about the big Yaddle. Chirrut, if it comes down, don't care about that anyways. Got the Viper Pro Droid into the resource pile from the resupply carrier. Remember, this takes the top card of our deck into play as a resource, which is really nice, which means we have, again, multiple Devastators. We have 6 Devastators to draw. We have multiple Ruthless Raiders. We have all sorts of crazy good options here. And I can even Turbo Laser Salvo next turn to deal 4 to a bunch of things. I could Overwhelming Barrage, knock out a bunch of units. I could do so many different things. I think I'm just going to drop in the Ruthless Raider, though, and not really worry. They have Anakin, but well, Anakin doesn't really do a whole lot when they have no heroism cards in their resource pile. And so actually, I may not even kill off a unit here. In fact, what I'm going to do is just play the Ruthless Raider out, and it is a little bit laggy here, and then hit the Chirrut or the Han Solo, because if I let them do their Anakin shenanigans, maybe they have something else going for them, and Yaddle can't even attack right now. So who really cares about Yaddle? The Entrench doesn't really do a whole lot. Play Ruthless Raider and hit Han here for 2. Again, I am okay with racing. I can deploy Piett afterwards. I mean, we have Turbo Laser Salvo that can knock out now Yaddle and Han, or we can Overwhelming Barrage that can knock out Yaddle and Han. We got a lot of options. They're going to attack in. We're going to claim initiative. There's nothing else that we need to do. Obviously, Devastator is the real one that I want. Oh, more than anything. A big, big space unit with more power than the ones I have on board are really what I'm looking for. But now we got 2 space units. If they knock out Ruthless Raider, great. 2 more damage to some units and can spread this damage out. And it's going to be pretty nice. But again, what they have in hand, Chirrut, Anakin. Yeah, Anakin doesn't even do anything. Planetary Bombardment, huh? I like Planetary Bombardment a good amount here, but I'm going to go Overwhelming Barrage and Open Fire here. And I'm going to ignore. I am going to ignore the what's it called? The Yaddle. I don't care about it. Fellow Dragon coming in. Okay, we're going to hit Anakin and then Open Fire away the Anakin. So they have double Fellow Dragon here. Very, very solid play from them, but again, any sort of options that we have that are going to give us a little bit more power on board, really, really solid. Any big space unit, okay, great. Resupply carrier and MC-30 assault frigate is a fantastic pickup. Do I care about this Turbo Laser Salvo? I think I do. I think I want to keep all the cards in my hand. If they have more removal, it could get a little bit risky here for us. Force Throw, huh? Yeah, we can get rid of the Turbo Laser Salvo now. Let's go ahead and play the resupply carrier. We will ramp here. We put an series officer into the resource pile. I'm a little bit worried here in terms of what could transpire in the next turn. I could have deployed I could deploy Piett, I guess, and then deploy the MC-30 assault frigate. I think that's going to be worthwhile. We'll see if they attack, how they attack here. Because they will be able to attack with the Yaddle and do a little bit of restoring, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I think that's okay. A little bit risky to force throw us. We could have held a cheaper card in hand. Not likely, though, so I guess that's a pretty fair reasoning here. Yeah, let's deploy Piett. I'm going to deploy Piett because we're going to be able to get this MC-30 assault frigate should he live at least another turn or so. That's fine. We're going to deploy an MC-30. They can knock out Piett. Doesn't matter to me. 12 damage with Planetary Bombardment is a crazy amount of damage, by the way. Let's see what my opponent's got. Let's see if they decide to attack with Yaddle. I think there's a reasonable decision to just take initiative here. Nope, they're going to knock out both units and generate the force again. Let's claim initiative here. They're going to pass. Double planetary bombardment. Okay, I think we have an answer here. We're going to attack with the MC-30 assault frigate and then play planetary bombardment. They're going to soak up a bunch of damage on their units, and we're just going to go to town. Let's see what my opponent's got. Can you outpace the damage that we're about to dish out? Very, very close game. Very, very close game. Let's attack Finn for 4. I like this because, well, maybe this is a very risky play. Let's see. They could take 7, so they could take 6. I mean, planetary bombardment doesn't quite do it. I should have played planetary bombardment here. Before I did anything, because now what's the problem is they can just take initiative if they don't think I have like open fire. But it is likely I have open fire if I'm making this play, so I guess I should have baited them in, or I'm baiting them in. But here's the thing. If I were them, I would just go for the play of keep my Mace Windu alive. I have lethal next turn. I shouldn't have attacked with a resupply carrier. I should have just played planetary bombardment, because next turn I would have been able to play another planetary bombardment, and that would have probably finished out the game. If they didn't make any other play, of course. Definitely a mistake on my part, but we didn't even draw any Devastators, right? Multiple Devastators, Invisible Hand available to us. Other Ruthless Raiders were options. Didn't draw any of those, which is a little bit unfortunate, but you know what? That totally happens. Definitely shouldn't have been as close of a game as it was, in my opinion. They're going to pass. We have the DRK, which isn't going to win. And there's the Devastator. GG to my opponent. I should have used the planetary bombardment, definitely. I didn't do the math in my head when I made that play. I should have gone planetary bombardment. They would have taken a bunch of damage to the base. They could have made another play, definitely. Would have been an option. But if they made another play versus attacking, I could have just attacked anyways. And if they hadn't, I would have had the option to draw something next turn, which would have been Devastator, which would have probably won me the game. So yeah, a little bit of a misstep there. Alrighty, into the next game here. We've got Obi-Wan Blue. No Virgin's Temple, though, which is a little bit surprising. Carabest has been a little bit laggy, so hopefully it's not super slow here. Okay, very expensive hand, which, you know, happens with Piett, but I'm looking for a little bit of ramp, maybe a little bit more impactful early game plays. Open fire is a good option. It could be very scary if they do start with Jedi Constant and we have no answer for it. They could definitely scale out of control. So we're going to mulligan this one and hope that we can pick up something else here. This is a much better hand. Much, much better. I like the DRK Probe Droid actually, typically, but I'm going to resource that alongside Overwhelming Barrage. HK-47 turn 1, open fire turn 2. Pretty nice curve out here overall. So I'm going to just keep those 2 options open. See what my opponent's got here. Claim initiative. All right, let's go HK. We got open fire part 2 and a resupply. Resupply is exactly where I want to be. Can resupply into resupply carrier next turn. And then we get Devastator the next turn. So this is a pretty nice curve. Resupply, resupply carrier, Devastator. Really, really nice curve out. We are just going to... Actually, I can't even use the Piett's action. Resupply here. Don't think they have something for 1 resource to put on Lothwolf. It's going to be pretty unlikely. So we will just attack in for 2. I see no reason not to. Turbo Laser Salvo. I think we'll just keep that and resource this open fire. I mean, I'm going to go with the resupply carrier on this turn for sure. But I could at least go with a Piett deploy and knock out the Lothwolf, which will deal 1 damage. And then I could also deal 2 damage to their base. They could have Fell the Dragon here, but Fell the Dragon's only going to work against Devastators, Ruthless Raiders, that type of thing. Or only work against Devastators, not Ruthless Raider or Resupply Carrier here. So we have a couple of options here. 5 drops, they could have Iterant Warrior. They could have Chirrits. They have a Gunji. Okay, Gunji's not really that scary. We're just going to go ahead and play out the Resupply Carrier here. Come on, Carabas. You can keep up here. Resupply Carrier. What do we put in the resource? A Devastator. Big Devastator. Okay, we're still a little bit away from that, so I'm not too worried about that. Have not been able to use any sort of action to generate the force. My opponent's kind of been playing off curve this game, which is pretty nice. Okay, they have Calm in the Storm. Let's just claim initiative. We're going to be able to play Devastator next turn and then knock out the Lothwolf, which is going to be fantastic, right? So, pretty good for us. Resupply could be the resource here. And we're going to do the Devastator play first. I know they could have felt the dragon, but the Devastator or the Devastator player first is going to allow us to get another damage from HK47 into their base. So let's go ahead and just do that immediately, because this is going to give us another damage whenever an enemy unit's defeated. And the indirect damage does cut through shields immediately. So, and I don't even know if they're going to be playing Fella Dragon. I could see them playing Shatterpoint. Oh, they didn't even resource? Well, that was definitely a mistake here. Right there, they should be on 5 resources, right? Yeah, they should definitely be on 5 resources. That was definitely a mistake here from them. Maybe just a misclick. Totally happens all the time. Can we deploy Piett and get in some damage? We will see. Not really worried about Piett like preventing us from playing anything if it gets killed, because we have Turbo Laser Salvo and Ruthless Raider in hand, which is going to be both pretty good options. But yeah, this game feels pretty over now if they didn't resource at all. But I guess we will find out. Waiting for my opponent to make a play. What do you have, opponent? What do you have? All right. Protecting the pod. They killed Devastator. Nice. So they did have an answer. Protecting the pod is pretty good with Gunji. We're going to claim initiative, not even bother the Piett deploy. Resource 1 of the Turbo Laser Salvo is probably not as good as some other options at this point. What are you going to do, opponent? We are waiting away. All right, deal 2 damage. Get in for... Ooh, they've got a Graceful Purgle, huh? Kind of fun. Little Purgan. Get in for 4. They're definitely going with a whale strategy here. I like it. I like it. Play Viper Probe Droid. What do they have? Shatterpoint and Overpower, huh? Shatterpoint can be a little bit scary. You can use the Force. They can deploy Obi-Wan. They got a lot of options here, realistically. Let's go Ruthless Raider, hit Gunji. Turbo Laser Salvo. Pretty good. Especially if they deploy Obi-Wan and then get an attack in with it. If they get an attack in with Obi-Wan, then it's going to have at least 2 damage on it, which means Turbo Laser Salvo is going to deal with the Obi-Wan. Could have deployed Piett last turn for an extra 2 damage, I suppose. They're going to attack there, huh? If Shatterpoint, I'm going to claim initiative because they do have Shatterpoint. So they could like Shatterpoint the Ruthless Raider, which would be a little bit sad because then we'd have to attack into the Graceful Purgle with a resupply carrier. So we would lose that. Whereas if I take initiative here, yes, I lose. Wow, they gave us an experience token on Piett. Well, that was a mistake, obviously, but I don't think it's going to matter. We're going to attack into the Graceful Purgle here. Then we got Turbo Laser Salvo plus Series Officer here. Get a damage in with HK. I'm surprised they didn't take out HK earlier on in the game, to be honest. Waiting on our opponent. Waiting. Let's see. What do you got, opponent? What do you have? think this is pretty much GG. We have a lot of good cards in our deck left. We have 2 Devastators of each. Following the path, huh? Interesting. They're going to draw some cards. Plo Koon. And following the path. Oh, just a Plo Koon. Okay. Let's Turbo Laser Salvo. We will deal 2 damage to the base with HK. And now all of our units are going to be able to attack. Seems pretty good to me. Get in for 4 here. They didn't even Shatter Point. This game's over. This game's over. Opponent, they can't do anything. I know they have Plo Koon. I know they have Gunji. And I know they have Shatter Point in hand. I guess they could have resourced the Shatter Point, but there is no answer to what we have here. And my opponent is taking a little while to make their plays here. Series Officer, we got Vanguard Droid Bomber, we got options. I mean, every single thing is lethal. If they kill everything, it's lethal because we got Ruthless Raider Series Officer. Even if they didn't give an experience to Piett, still would have done 26 damage. I mean, the game is over. Yep, Shatter Point away. It is GG. Alrighty, into the next game. We got Townsend Red. Gonna mulligan this one. I'm hoping for a little bit more ramp. This one's can be a little bit expensive. I mean, we do have some 6 drops. Looking for a 3-drop play here, but Viper Probe Droid is a fine turn 1 option. So Viper Probe Droid, let's see what they have in hand. Fallen Lightsaber, Marin, and Heroic Sacrifice. Heroic Sacrifice probably in the deck because of Anakin. I think that's a fun little combination though. HK-47 as the pickup, another Overwhelming Barrage. I'm going to resource the Overwhelming Barrage because I'd rather make another play this turn. Gonna trade off. Okay, let's go HK. I'm totally okay with that. Let's go ahead and claim initiative. Okay, Planetary Bombardment coming in. I mean, do I care about Overwhelming Barrage when they have, what do they have in hand? It was Marin, Heroic Sac, Fallen Lightsaber. I mean, Overwhelming Barrage does look pretty good. Yeah, I think I'll get rid of the resupply carrier, I suppose. Let's get in for 2 here. If they want to discard a card to Marin to deal damage to a unit, I am totally okay with that, to be honest. We're going to be able to go Ruthless Raider next turn. They could shrink that down, that's fine. They can attack into it, that's fine. It doesn't really matter to me. They're going to discard a card probably to kill off my HK. But at least we're going to get cards out of their hand, which I think this game's going to go a lot longer here. Oh, wait, they shrunk the HK. Oh, they have Talzin's Assassin. Okay, that was a new draw. That makes a lot more sense. That does make a lot more sense. Resupply carrier as the pickup here. DRK Probe Droid could actually be pretty good. It could actually be pretty good. Wait, no, Fallen Lightsaber is not a unique upgrade. But, I mean, I think I need more space units. I think I need more power in the game. So let's go ahead and just play out the Ruthless Raider and deal 2 to Talzin's Assassin here, I suppose. This allows us, if we lose the Ruthless Raider, to knock out the Talzin's Assassin, which is going to be pretty useful. I will deploy Piett just so that I can hit their base for 2. I think we're in the race mode. So I think just doing everything I possibly can to race as fast as possible is going to be the game plan here. I don't like this start all that much. I would have preferred, turn 2 ramp instead of playing a 2-drop into 2-drop. Okay, they're going to Fallen Lightsaber on the Marin. We're going to get in for 2. I think they're racing us. I think they should be attacking our base. At this point, we could play Devastator. So them discarding a card. I mean, I guess they don't need to. They can use Talzin's action or just deploy Talzin. But them, using up their 5 damage hit. They're discarding a card. Well, they made a mistake because they intended to discard a card to hit our Piett. So Piett should be dead right now. but I guess they can use Talzin or deploy Talzin and do the same thing. Oh no, they dealt 2 to the Ruthless Raider. So that's what they intended to do. Okay, yeah, that makes sense as well. I was like, what the heck just happened? They're going to gain the Force here. There's the Devastator. That's what I was talking about earlier. It's like I can play Devastator anyways. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. Knock out Talzin's Assassin. Deal a bunch of damage over there. Devastator's a big hitter. We have Planetary Bombardment next turn. That's going to be a big, big play. Force Lightning, huh? Wow. Real big draw here from them. They can knock out the Ruthless Raider, which I think is pretty reasonable, but nope, they're going to stick to dealing with the Devastator here. See if they decide to discard a card with the Marin here. I think it's pretty risky. Wow, they discarded a card and it's a Ruthless Raider? I'm very surprised at that one. Okay. Turbolaser Salvo. Turbolaser Salvo is not bad. So I could DRK, but I don't want them to get an attack in. I'd rather resource the Turbolaser Salvo and then go Overwhelming Barrage here. Just knock out the 2 units, and then we could play DRK after. They're drawing off the top, by the way. Every card that they pick up must be pretty good. Otherwise, we are winning pretty hard. They got another Fallen Lightsaber. Let's go ahead and DRK. DRK coming in clutch here, knocking out that Fallen Lightsaber. Really nice play there. I would have thought that if they had a way to kill the Ruthless Raider, they would have done so immediately. So I'm fine with making this play here. Yeah, I mean, we are in the business of racing right now. So I'm liking our position. Let's go ahead and claim initiative here. Ooh, Devastator looks pretty excellent. Let's go ahead and get in for 4. And we'll see how my opponent decides to play this out. Yep, we will deal 2 to Talzin. And I'm just going to play out Devastator, knock out the Talzin's Assassin. And that's GG, right? They have to take initiative. Oh, they're just attacking. Well, you know, you could attack too. That's reasonable. It's going to claim initiative. I guess, unless they have like force throw. I guess. I don't know. That's pretty tricky, but GG. Well done to Piett. DRK coming in clutch there. Into the next game, and reasonable hand, honestly. The DRK Pro Droid could be pretty good. I have the Ruthless Raider. I think I'm going to keep. If I mulligan, I could mulligan into a way worse hand. I'm going to resource the Planetary Bombardment and the Devastator. Interaction has been very high in this set, for sure. Shatter Points, Fell the Dragons, very, very common plays. Opponent seems to always have an answer. They got Force Throws, Force Lightnings, all that good stuff. So very, very scary. HK-47 is amazing up against Vulptex, by the way. That means that this thing's going to be able to kill the Vulptex and live. Ooh. And they're probably going to go with an immediate shield token, and then we play DRK to knock out the shield token. Ooh, it's so good for us. I don't know. We'll see. We will see, but I am pretty ecstatic about this. DRK Probe Droid, knock out that shield token. We knew it was coming. And if they just want to trade here, I'm fine with that as well. We're going to be able to deal 1 to their base and then deal another 2 to their base. Okay, we'll knock out Vulptex. Yep, totally fine with that. Pretty nice play there. They play a play. We could go Open Fire and then into Ruthless Raider. Seems like a pretty nice curve out here. They've got Daring Raid to knock out the HK. Daring Raid, kind of surprised people are playing Daring Raid in the Kanan Red, unless you're playing Tarkin Town. Resupply Carrier and Double Devastator. I like Devastator a lot. I feel like I could resource this Resupply Carrier because I'm going to be going with Ruthless Raider next turn. And then I can Devastator with a Piett deploy the following turn into another Devastator, even if Piett dies. So I like to keep the Devastators here. All right, now we have MC-30 Assault Frigate, which would have been a nice draw last turn. Let's see what they've got. They got the Ghost. All right, let's go ahead and get an attack in for 2 then. And then we will play the Ruthless Raider. And then if they put a shield token on this the next turn, we can Devastator to cut through that shield token. So I do like that. Deploy Piett. Attack it for 2. Pass. We got Devastator, huh? I mean, we could play Devastator this. I shouldn't have researched the MC30. If they have Rivals Fall and they Rivals Fall my... Well, if they Rivals Fall my Piett, I think we're still winning super hard. So I'm actually okay with that. I think that's the only thing that goes really, like, outside of our game plan. I think we could resource the big Devastator without a problem, though. I just like to have double big and double small Devastator, but I think the MC30 was definitely the play. See, now we can go Devastator, and we just cut straight through that that shield token. Pretty disgusting. Like I said, it played out basically exactly how I thought it would. Not that they could have done anything really too crazily different, but we're going to get in for 2 with the DRK so that we can get in maximum damage here. And then we even have, okay, Forces with me, knock on the base here. Okay, we're going to get in for 2. Looks like they're racing us. I mean, racing is pretty scary for them for sure. Do we get a planetary bombardment? No, but we got a pretty good overwhelming barrage here. I like that. Let's see what they've got. Grappling Guardian. That's awesome. That is pretty awesome. Let's get in for 2 here. And then we're going to be able to get in for a total of 8. And then Devastator can hit their base for a little bit more even. I guess we Overwhelming Barrage, hit 1, and then hit 5. Because we're not going to be able to play Devastator. I should have played the Devastator out knowing that they're going to probably... I guess it's pretty risky to know. So I'm fine with this. Hit in for 6, pass. Ruthless Raider's a great draw. I mean, we have endless options here. We have endless options. Endless options. We got another Devastator. Yeah, I mean, we just played Devastator. And Grappling Guardian is sweet against us, by the way. That is a really sweet card, and they happen to draw 2 of them. But our early game with deleting the shield, open fire for the Sabine's Masterpiece was just too strong. Like, that's tough to deal with for your opponent, right? And then all their shield tokens just got bypassed by a Devastator or by the DRK. But, you know, shout out to Ile here. Thank you for the game. Into our next match, we got ourselves a Piett mirror. So probably very similar in what we're playing, which means we want ramp. We 100% want ramp. We want big plays. We don't really care about the small plays. This is a pretty nice hand. I'm going to definitely keep this hand. We have the ramp that I'm looking for. We have a play. We have planetary bombardment. I'm not really going to push my luck and try to find a better hand. I think this is a pretty reasonable hand. Turn 1 play, with HK being the turn 1 play, is pretty nice. It's going to dwarf a lot of my opponent's turn 1 plays if they have like Series Officer or their Vanguard Droid Bomber. HK is just going to be a little bit better than that. Then we have Resupply, and then we have Ruthless Raider into the next turn, into Planetary Bombardment, which could definitely put on a ton of pressure to our opponent. So I'm liking our hand. And we even have Initiative, so we get to take the first action, which is really, really nice. So let's go with HK here. And if they don't have a play, even better, right? We're just going to peck in with a little bit of damage every single turn. Piett's not going to really have a lot of answers to that. Series Officer going to be the resource here. Another bigger play here, which is really nice. I do like the Resupply Carrier. Let's see if they have Open Fire. If they have Open Fire, I'm loving our position even more, right? Because I want to be ramping, and they should be wanting to ramp too. So if they play like Resupply, well, now we just got a better HK-47. We're basically just using more resources than them. So Open Fire would not be sad to see. If they Resupply, we definitely have a game on our hands. Or if they Super Laser Technician, we definitely have a game on our hands. But we still get another damage out of their Super Laser Technician dying. So that's nice from us. Merciless Contest. Okay, that's not something I was expecting to see, but, you know, totally reasonable play. We get to go Resupply Carrier next turn, which is going to be really nice. Let's pass. Ooh, Invisible Hand. Never mind. Resupply Carrier out of the question. Well, do I want Overwhelming Barrage, actually? I don't actually think I want Overwhelming Barrage in this game. I think it's going to be too late for it to be relevant. I think it's going to be too late to be relevant. I'm going to pass here. Well, we're going to play a capital ship, grab a Viper probe droid. Let's see what we get. On the opposing side of the battlefield, Force Choke doesn't really do anything. Actually, yeah, they could price in your head plus Force Choke, I guess. But that's risky. That's a risky play. All right, they're conceding. Yep, that's what I thought. You just, when you're ramping and you're doing the big plays and your opponent doesn't do that and they play like Merciless Contest, you're super advantaged. So GG. On to the next one, we got Cad Bane Red. This one could be a little bit tricky for sure if they get a very aggressive start. I'm looking for ramp here realistically. I don't really care for early game plays because they're just going to die anyways to Tarkin Town. So we'll see. I mean, getting Tarkin Town out of the way early is nice just to not have to worry about it, but ramping is what I want to see. Super Laser Technicians, resupplies. I like Invisible Hand a lot. This is one of the cards we haven't been able to see so far too much in the video, but as you saw with last game, it was pretty powerful. This is a good hand. This is a nice hand. I know I don't have a turn one play if I resource these two, but I'd rather keep these other cards in hand and be able to go open fire resupply. Let's pass. I'm going to pass here just to see if my opponent's going to claim initiative. They do. Okay, great. Love that. No turn one play. Super nice for us. We're going to go HK47, resource. Let's see if they decide to pass. If they do, we resupply. If they don't, we probably still resupply. They got Nihil Marauder. Let's go to resupply. That's a little bit scary. That makes me think of a combo element with like Barris. So I'm a little bit worried about that. All right, let's resource the series officer. We're just going to go with Invisible Hand here and start putting pressure on our opponent. But yeah, that is a little scary. That is a little scary. Let's go Invisible Hand. No droids. Wow, that is super unlucky. We have, I mean, it's not super unlucky. We have 12 droids in the game. That's kind of unfortunate for us. Overwhelming Barrage looks pretty good. Viper Probe Droid is the resource here. Could have deployed Piett, but I wasn't really interested in it. Tack in. We got Vanguard Droid Bomber. Great. Let's play it for free. Get a little bit of damage into the base. Now we can go Resupply Carrier, which would allow us to go Devastator if we happen to have... I think I should go Overwhelming Barrage here, to be honest, on the Invisible Hand. Deal a bunch of damage to Forlom, and then deal 4 to the Nihil Marauder. And I can even knock out Nihil Marauder with the Piett, which looks pretty good as well. Just preserves a little bit of HP, and I do like that because we are in a little bit of an aggressive matchup here for my opponent. Like, they are the aggressors is what I should say. So Invisible Hand, just getting a little bit of value every single turn is going to be really nice. Okay, well, that's super easy. Relentless Pursuit does nothing because we just deploy Piett and then kill off the Nihil Marauder. Aura Sing, huh? So if we deal 1, we take another one, that's 2. Then we take 3 from Aura. That's fine. Totally fine. Knock out Nihil Marauder. We have a lot of good stuff going for us next turn. Another Viper Probe Droid. I guess I prefer that over HK. We drew a lot of our 2-drop droids actually at this point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So actually we have very little droids left. So Invisible Hand's probably not going to hit anything, which is probably why you missed in the first place. We don't have 12, we have 15 droids in the deck. 15 2-cost droids in the deck. So unlikely to hit something now that we've drawn so many of our 2-drop droids. Let's see what my opponent decides to do here. Marchion Rail plus Cad Bane means a lot of damage for us. Waylay, huh? I think we just go Invisible Hand again. Series Officer seems great. Just get in some damage. We can open fire as well now. Happy that we hit with it. Let's get in some damage for 2 into the base here. They're going to be able to get some very, very large chunks of damage in. They have 7 damage on board, which is a lot. It's a lot of damage. So let's see what my opponent's going to do here with these attacks. I think our worst thing to see is like maybe It's sneak attack something. Oh, they're just conceding. They just left. All right. Well, shout out to Teddy as well. They say this big fan. So real cool stuff. They left, but GG. I don't know if they had many options. I was thinking like sneak attack out something big, like a Forlom or something, or I don't know, and then get in some damage, but it would be tough. It would be tough. Here, I probably would have just played out a Vanguard Droid Bomber to put on more pressure to the base. So 2 damage to the base. And that would put them at 12. We attack in, that's 18. And then we have lethal on board. Should they touch any of our units, it's bad for them. But I mean, we're still under a lot of pressure, right? We don't actually have a lot of damage onto the base. We could have gone open fire on Aura Sing, which would have been another option, depending on what they would have gone with. I think if they had just immediately attacked with Aura, which is what I would have done in their place, I wouldn't have open fired, but the Vanguard Droid Bomber was a nice play. If they had attacked with a Cad Bane, probably would have open fired just to prevent a little bit of damage here and there. And of course, if they drew like Planetary Bombardment or Overwhelming Barrage, the game would have been really, really nice for us. Into the next game, and it looks like my opponent's doing some jank over there with their Qui-Gon Jinn. Let's go ahead and keep this hand. I think I'm going to get rid of one of the open fires and probably the Super Laser Technician. I don't want to mess with my opponent potentially being able to bounce the Super Laser Technician and then setting us back. So I'm just going to go with the resupply. I'm going to pass here. We'll see what they decide to do here on turn 1. I may go with open fire because then I could still play the MC-30 Assault Frigate on the next turn, regardless of resupplying. But resupply does lock me into, or at least give me the option of playing something bigger. And that's exactly what I'm kind of looking at, is that invisible hand. I am much more excited about the invisible hand here. So I think I'm just going to go resupply into invisible hand here and see what my opponent does. Because one of the things with Obi-Wan is they're going to have things like, well, R2 is not really expected, but they're going to have things like Ahsoka. They're going to have things like Caloran Beck, things that are going to be able to ambush the ground arena and get them value. So Ahsoka is a card I'm scared of, and having an invisible handout on the board is going to be really nice. All right, we're going to try to overwhelm our Planetary Bombard them for sure in this game. We got to do it, guys. We got to do it. Let's go with an invisible hand. We have 1 droid resource, which means we have 14 droids in the deck. At 8 cards in the deck, it's pretty likely for us to hit a droid at this point. So we're just going to go with the invisible hand and hopefully hit a droid. We do. It's an HK or an series. I'm going to go with an HK just because they don't have the power on board to kill it. So let's go ahead and just play out the HK here for free. Pretty nice. My opponent not really having a lot of options here. We're going to go and get rid of that open fire. I'm going to deploy Piett, actually, just to get in some damage to the base. Again, we're kind of racing them. They're an attack in for 1. I'm kind of expecting them to bounce the Ahsoka and to do another play here, but we'll see, I guess. Overwhelming Barrage is a really nice one. I think the Planetary Bombardment is going to be the resource, guys. Let's go ahead and I can Overwhelming Barrage. I can go Planetary Bombardment. I think I just attack in with the invisible hand here. Yeah, let's grab Viper Probe Droid just to see what my opponent's got going on. So they have Ahsoka, Impossible Escape, Plo Koon. None of these are really that scary. Plo Koon isn't that scary. They can't Ahsoka again. I mean, they can deploy Plo Koon and then Ahsoka afterwards, which isn't bad. Let's see what they got. 6 resources for a Planetary Bombardment. It's pretty nice. The only thing about Planetary Bombardment in this deck is, or against this deck, is they can bounce their units to refresh the damage on the units. So we kind of want to set up a turn where we can Planetary Bombardment where they'll regret dealing a bunch of damage to their own units. If they go Plo Koon here, which is their best play, then they're going to take a little bit of damage on the Plo Koon, and we can Overwhelming Barrage the Plo Koon, I guess. Let's see, what do they decide to attack here? They decide to attack the HK. All right, I think I just attack in for 2 and then play the MC-30. It's going to allow us to play the Vanguard Droid Bomber as well, and it's going to get in 2 damage. And they can bounce the Plo Koon, but they can't kill Ahsoka, so they're literally just defeating their own Ahsoka to get the value from that, which isn't really that scary here. Let's go with the MC-30. Youngling Padawan. Let's go with the Vanguard Droid Bomber here. Get in for 2. And now what do they want to do? Plo Koon? Bounce the Plo Koon? I mean, they could bounce the Plo Koon, but that's not really that great of a play. I would be very, very surprised if they bounce the Plo Koon here. Yeah, they are not going to. I kind of expected as much. Let's go ahead and just get in an immediate attack in 4-2 into the base with Piett here. Even if they deal with the invisible hand, the MC30 still hits for 6, so I'm okay with that. I'm expecting them to attack my Piett, which is going to make the planetary bombardment even scarier. They're going to impossible escape. Yeah, not worried about that at all. Not worried about that at all. Now I have a couple options. I can overwhelming barrage the... Oh. Okay, they're going to use a unit to exhaust. Okay, so I have 8 damage. I go 2. I could technically kill everything with overwhelming barrage here. Or I could just planetary bombardment. You know what? Let's just planetary bombardment. Let's make my opponent deal 12 to their units and or base. It's a lot of damage. They have to really make this count because they can't be put in lethal range. I wouldn't expect them to have 2 answers to both Invisible Hand and MC30, which means that they can at most take 6. They can't take 8. Yeah, see, that's scary because then I attack with the Vanguard Droid Bomber and the MC30 and they're dead. So they have to have an answer to the MC30 right now. So it's like 6 damage to base and a bunch of damage to all their other stuff. Yeah, that's rough. And they're in lethal range unless they have an answer to both my units. And even if they do it this way, where they take a bunch of damage to their units, we can attack with a Vanguard Droid Bomber, and then we still have lethal on board with another unit here. Ahsoka Tano, fine. We're going to discard this overwhelming barrage because we're just going to hit in for 6. Boom, 6 damage. Yep. Can't exhaust a unit here. Very risky play from them. Not that they had many answers, guys. They were pretty screwed no matter what. All right, what did we learn with Piett? Well, it's pretty strong, and I actually think we could have won that first game if I sequenced the planetary bombardments correctly. But man, the value of Piett has always been good. Piett's always been one of those leaders that's like, okay, this leader can do some stuff, and it did some work in set 4 when it was released, and just cheating out big capital ships. Capital ships are one of the big payoffs in general. So we saw a lot of Piett Blue, Piett Yellow, Piett Red. Piett Yellow, especially in the earlier stages of the format, but Piett Red also did some good work with Ruthless Raider and Devastator. Excellent plays. And guess what? It's still the case. The only 2 new additions from the new set, really, with this modification of the deck, is HK-47 and DRK-1 Probe Droid. I will say, this deck is very much reliant on some of the very critical plays. You know, if you're in a game where you have Super Laser Technician or Resupply or Open Fire, the game goes pretty good. But if you only have those 2 drops like HK, Probe Droid, Series Officer, Vanguard Droid Bomber, or Probe Droid, the game is a lot scarier for you. If you do have the MC30s, if you do have the Resupply Carriers, the Ruthless Raiders, all that good stuff, you can definitely set up a pretty nice turn for yourself and do some good work. And it is very explosive, very, very dominant if you're able to get to that stage of the game. And we were able to in most of those games. So overall, pretty solid and pretty strong deck, guys. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a good amount of Piett Red in the Galactic Championship either. So prepare for the deck. Expect what you're, well, at least come to expect what you're going to see from Piett Red come the Galactic Championship. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all for the next one.